Welcome back to Piff, everybody.
Oh yeah.
It's another episode of Piff. So
Well,
who's all here?
thanks for listening, everyone.
We should introduce
Until
everyone.
next time.
We should introduce everyone who's here, including the annoying turkey who's interrupting me.
Could we talk the rest of the podcast in like very monotone voices?
That's just my voice all the time.
Wow, that's a low blow.
So that's Squirrely. He's also joining us as well. Probably as a regular, maybe. We'll see.
Hello.
But that's something we should talk about because I listened to the first episode and my voice is so monotone all the time, and I need to emote more because I'm really excited. I don't sound excited. I sound exactly the same.
I want to voice when I grow up.
Don't we have to do a nice little bit about how we paid it forward and
thank you for bringing that up because that's a good segue. Our segue is going to be you, Turkey, having a story about that, which probably we're sharing.
I do have a story, and it was a very nice story from earlier this week. And I was in the Starbucks line, and I have paid for, a handful of people behind me in the past, but I've never had it happen to me. And so this time I was ordering, and I actually ordered like a decent amount, which I kind of feel bad for in retrospect. But all of a sudden I go up to the cashier, and they're like, "Oh, your stuff is already paid for." And I was like, "By who?" And she wouldn't answer me. And I was like, "Okay, but like seriously, what happened?" And she's like, "Oh, the person in front of you paid for you." And I was so touched. And so then I paid for the person behind me to piff, pay it forward. And then the person behind me only bought like something for like $2, which I didn't even know you could do at Starbucks. But then I was like, well, I made out with that. But anyways, it was a nice event and a nice day, and it did make my day.
Did you turn around and then hand them a crisp $20 bill to make up for the difference?
I did. I actually turned around and I looked them straight in their optic stem, and I said, "I love you."
Okay, Patrick Starr.
I think that's sweet.
It is. It's a nice story, and it's funny that happens right after we're starting. That sort of thing happens for the first time. So it's a good thing to see. And
it is funny that Turkey's so generous, but when that happens to me, like the last time I was in Starbucks, they wouldn't tell me what the person behind me purchased, so I just handed them a briefcase full of cash.
Oh wow,
and they seemed weirdly nervous about it.
Yeah, I call it paying it backward. 2 steps back, briefcase forward. You know it is.
Right.
Paying it backward is just robbing people.
I actually asked to pay for the person 5 cars behind me and said, to ignore the rest of the other 4.
That's actually funny too, because the time I was at Starbucks beforehand, I actually just gave them my account information and told them to drain my account.
Whoever pay until you can't pay anymore.
Literally let anyone buy anything and say it's on this person. Yeah, that would be the way to do it.
Yeah, I've actually asked them to charge my stuff to the car behind me. So.
On occasion, I'll give them the phone number of other people I know who have extra cash laying around, and they call them and they actually get donations that way.
Yeah. I said, why do you want
this person's tab?
Why do you want my money?
I call it cold cut calling.
Yeah. I ask them why they want my money. We're not socialists here.
Yeah. Why are you so concerned? Yeah, just be like, you order something and you drive up and they're like, that'll be $10. You're like, why are you so concerned about money? Are you some kind of socialist?
Right. I worked hard for this money.
Yeah. And you're stealing it from me.
Right. So hard for it, honey.
I actually forgot to tell you guys, I just got a job at McDonald's this week. I don't know how I feel about this conversation.
Did you take people's money, you socialist?
I did get fired on the spot, yes, for that reason.
The first person drives up. and you just rob them for money. Your manager goes over and is just like, you're fired. It's like the first person you wait on.
Yeah, so I was the cashier. They gave me their money. I then I received their lunch, and I just walked to my car and ate it.
Can you imagine like your first day, you come into work and they explain like how to do everything, and you just like make a big meal for yourself and then walk out and they're never seen again.
Shout out to my cousin Vinny.
why are you shutting out my cousin Vinny?
So there's a scene in the movie where actually I don't know why, but I'm forgetting the actor's name. The Irishman. He was in Home Alone.
Vinny DeVito?
No, but it's funny because
Joe Pesci. Joe Pesci.
Joe Pesci. That's it. Joe Pesci. Yeah. And because he's from New York, he was trying to when he was litigating in court, and he goes, "These two youths," and the judge is like, "Youths." He goes, "These two youths." Sorry, it just came to mind, and I think it was important to share.
That's a very topical reference, by the way. Everyone's watched My Cousin Vinny.
I actually have not.
Yeah, I watched it once, which I don't remember anything about the movie except Joe Pesci's in it, and they were like, the plot is like two kids go to Alabama and they get arrested, and then Joe Pesci's like an incompetent lawyer. That's all I remember about it.
Yeah, there were suspects in a local gas station robbery because as Joe Pesci ends up proving, there were the two actual perpetrators who were driving a very similar colored car and had similar descriptions, of the two youths.
Oh, that's right. Yeah.
But as he ended up establishing, because he and his girlfriend at the time, well, I don't know at the time, I haven't kept in touch with them.
You never called up Joe Pesci on the phone.
Automobile background, and they figured it out from photos. It's a really good movie.
Yeah, I can't remember a single thing after watching it. It just went through my brain.
I am interested to know if you know what is the similarity between My Cousin Vinny and Karate Kid?
Is Ralph Macchio in it?
Yeah, 100% is.
That's what I thought it was. I thought I remembered him being in it. Yeah.
It blew my mind because I didn't watch it until 5 years ago, and I fell in love with it.
Wasn't My Cousin? When did My Cousin Vinny come out? Was it in the mid-90s?
That was definitely 80s, I think. Yeah, 100%.
Maybe it was early 90s because Ralph Macchio, obviously he's known for the Karate Kid series.
Yeah, he was about that age.
Yeah, but I would have thought he would have been too old to play that part. If it was if My Cousin Vinny came out in 95, because I can't remember when it was. It feels like early 90s, early to mid 90s, but I might be completely wrong on that. And then the Karate Kid series came out in what was it, 84?
He was about the same age as he was in the Karate Kid, so maybe a year or two later, My Cousin Vinny must have come out.
Maybe, yeah, I guess that would make sense. I just feel like My Cousin Vinny came out much later, but maybe I'm just completely misremembering. I thought it was a 90s movie.
Maybe I'll give Joe Pesci a call. I'll ask him.
Yeah, we should get Joe Pesci on the show. Joe Pesci is a good actor. What other stuff was he in? He was in
Irishman. He was in Home Alone.
That's right.
He was actually in a bunch of stuff back in the day, but I can't remember. I literally can't remember anything other than Casino and Home Alone.
Yeah, I remember Home Alone. Yeah, I can't remember. I think he was in mob movies, right?
Jinx.
What was that movie where he's just he does a thing where he's like, I'm funny. I can't do his voice.
Goodfellas.
Yeah, Goodfellas. That's the one I was thinking of. I knew it was some kind of mob.
Funny enough, I've never seen that movie. I've always wanted to watch it. I never put it on.
I heard he's pretty good in it, and I've never seen it either. Actually, I'll have to watch it at some point.
Turkey, have you seen it?
Based on my involvement in the conversation, yes.
Turkey, do you want to talk more? You got to intervene. You got to get in here.
Yeah, are you a good fella?
There's nothing that I can contribute to this conversation.
Okay. I mean, I've never seen Goodfellas, and I can't remember My Cousin Vinny, so...
I mean, were they nice?
Should we talk about your favorite movie?
That's a good question. I don't know what my favorite movie is. But those aren't your favorite movies.
My
No,
cousin is, but yes.
but that's like something we can talk about with you. You won't have an excuse not to say anything then.
Yeah,
Yeah.
contribute something or get off.
Yeah, get out of here.
I just like to mooge.
Okay. Well, hey, list 2 movies that we should watch.
If we do like the idea we had, where maybe this is a good thing to talk about as a little bit of a short transition for something we can talk about, is doing like commentary tracks where people can like we put them on YouTube, and then people can like put on our commentary when we're talking about the movies that are going on. I know other people have done them before, but obviously there's enough room for like other people to be funny, and we wouldn't be like showing the video or the audio of the movies. So people would have to get them separately. I'm just wondering how. I don't know the legality of it. I don't think it would be a huge deal because I know people have done worse, but um, I've thought about like doing that as an idea, and then we could watch these movies and just give our commentary while we're talking on it. It'd be a nice thing to do. We can watch our favorite movie ever, The Karate Kid 2, and talk about everything in the movie.
I 100% would want to spend an entire podcast talking about The Karate Kid 2.
Oh,
I'm pretty sure it's the best piece of cinema that's ever been produced. Like Clint Eastwood nor Robert De Niro have anything on this movie. It's like,
yeah, I mean, there's so many memorable moments in the movie, like how the plot gets resolved. Well, the whole plot in general, if we want to get into it, like is insane because the whole movie revolves around the fact that like there's this guy who, if I remember right, he's just angry that Pat Morita, who plays the extremely venerable and well liked character, at least in our friend group, of Miyagi, and he just has a grudge with him. I guess it's something about his dad or his wife or something. I can't even remember because
yeah, funny enough, I actually can't even remember The Grudge. I don't know if it was the girl interest that Miyagi had when he was younger, or if it was like in some way, shape, or form Miyagi betrayed him, but I can't figure out what he did.
yeah, I can't even remember it either. Like it's such a blur that we need to go back and actually watch it and be like, why did this plot start going? Because he's angry about it, and that drives the whole plot. There's really nothing else to it. Um, I guess they go there for something, right? They go to Okinawa.
Oh, correct, because Miyagi's father was sick, and it was the first time he'd been back home in years. And then I think at the airspace, or I don't remember what. Oh, I think at the airport, Sato, the angry man, picks up Miyagi and Danielson and brings them back to like his hangar.
Yeah, that's right. Because he has a hangar, like like everyone does.
100%.
Yeah, and that's the famous scene where he calls Miyagi a coward, and then but yeah, I think it has something to do with his dad, right? That his dad liked him. I can't remember if it was a karate based thing, like he liked him better as a student or something like that, or if it was a love interest or both.
I think it had to be the love interest because I don't think it had anything to do with the father. Because I remember when they well, this doesn't necessarily disprove that, but um, the one time that they both like got along well enough around each other was when they had to basically both say their goodbyes to the Miyagi's father,
Mm-hmm.
who passed away, unfortunately. Rest in peace.
Yeah.
And yeah, I don't know. This is a tough one. I'll rewatch it this weekend, and I'll let you know.
Yeah. Well, maybe we'll rewatch it together in the future, and we'll all remember exactly what happened. It's such a memorable movie because we can't even remember what caused the main plot.
It's actually kind of embarrassing because this is one of my favorite movies.
We talk about how it's our favorite movie, and we can't even remember it. But the movie is not great because of whatever pushed the main plot. It's because of well, I don't know what's the best element. Is it the villain in the movie? Is it how the villain's motivation pays off?
I think character development actually absolutely makes this film.
What character development?
In the beginning, Angry Sato had some of the best dialogue in this movie, and the execution on like the name calling that he will say perpetrates towards Miyagi is just something of like, I don't understand why he never won a Grammy. And then by the end, his personality, the way he dressed, everything changed about him because, as you know, Peacock, Miyagi saved Sato's life during a wicked storm, and it was one of the best. Like, it, I would go so far as to say it was one of the best romantic scenes I've ever seen.
I think you guys are forgetting the true greatest movie of
Oh
all time.
no, wait, Turkey. We can't change gears quite yet because we have
No.
we have to. We need to talk about the scene because this is perhaps the greatest resolution of a plot ever.
All right, well,
the whole movie is about how Sato and Miyagi are going to have to fight, and Miyagi doesn't want to fight with Sato. So Sato
just harasses him for half.
He continues to do outrageous things that are completely ridiculous, and just completely out of line to the point of absurdity in order to get Miyagi to fight him, including Sato's very rich, so he has access to bulldozers. So he bulldozes an entire village that has nothing to do with anything except that Miyagi is there. So he bulldozes the whole village because Miyagi won't fight with them. And then other things of that nature happen that are ridiculous, including Sato showing up in the middle of the night screaming Miyagi's name randomly in a village for everyone to hear. This poor village just getting tormented by this guy. And then, of course, the most famous part of it being the plot resolution, where this entire plot, after Miyagi finally agrees to fight Sato, the plot is resolved by a storm coming out of nowhere and dropping a house on Sato. That's what happens to end the movie.
It was one of the most emotional scenes of all cinema.
When Sato had the house on him, and he was very angry at Miyagi still, and accused Miyagi of dropping the house on him.
And Sato's expectation of another Okinawan was to just murder him. Was just blown away when Miyagi did like the decent thing, which was to karate chop a massive. Was it like a beam? It was obviously wood, but it was like,
that's right. I forgot about that.
To like support a house.
Well, that's where the karate comes in the movie. He has to karate chop the supports for a house.
Yeah, it's amazing. Like it gives me the motivation. Like if my car ever gets stuck in the snow, all I got to do is karate chop it, and it gets out. It's ready to roll. I learned a lot of things from Karate Kid Part 2, and I hope you did too.
Yeah, everyone should go out and watch it, and then maybe we'll do a commentary track on it, because there are so many moments, just too many moments to talk about. And we haven't even talked about the ending of the movie, which really comes out of nowhere, I guess. But we won't spoil it for everyone because it's a scene. I think it's the only scene where there's real karate that happens in the movie.
Listen. Like I think we should spend not just a single podcast session, but I think we should spend at least a week and a half discussing this specific movie, because once we figure out the reason for the Sato Miyagi rift, I think there's a lot of narrative discussion we can have on this topic. As I mentioned before, I think it is one of the most impactful cinematic moments in all of what Hollywood's produced.
I think you guys are severely underestimating the real best movie of all time.
That is what I was leading to. Is I think we could spend a week and a half on this, but I do wish to hear what Gobble Gobble thinks is the best movie of all time. Go.
Yeah, since we've
Truly,
talked about for a while.
The greatest movie of all time ever created, ever even thought up by the human mind. Minority Report.
I knew you were going to say that. Why would you go into this again?
Minority Report.
You always bring
Best
Do
movie
you still feel
ever
that way about that
created.
movie?
I actually haven't seen that movie since college, but the memory of it lives on, and I'm sure it still is great.
It's funny because I've seen that movie recently, and I remember seeing it a couple times around the time we first met. Wink, wink.
When did we ever meet?
I don't know. Actually, have we met before? Hi, Turkey. Yeah, no. So I think I still feel the same way. Minority Report is in fact a good movie, but to be as blown away as you are by it, it kind of amazes me. Actually, that sounds super condescending, especially when we just spent about 20 minutes talking about Karate Kid 2. However, it just, I think you'd be hard pressed. It's hard to make the argument that Minority Report is anything more than a good movie,
I think
it's the best movie.
I think you can take it a step further and say it is a great movie. Minority Report is basically about the age-old question if free will is real. And now, as a good question to ask our viewers, so comment below. But in my personal opinion, I think it doesn't. I just don't have enough evidence to support that theory. But this movie takes it to that next step and asks that question basically on a police state level and a security level and a monitoring level. And I think it kind of raises the question as to where we are in society even right now. Like, can you predict someone's going to be doing something just because you see it, maybe on Reddit, for example? Or can you, arrest people for preemptively assuming that they're going to be doing something? I think it's a pretty interesting concept.
If you're talking about thought crimes and stuff like that, I think 1984 does a much better job of cataloging that sort of thing.
Well, 1984 is a great book. Don't get me wrong, but it's not a movie.
You made a movie out of it at one point. I'm not saying.
Oh, well, then I haven't seen the movie.
I'm referring to the book and the fact that Minority Report steals the idea of whether thought crimes should be prosecuted. It's not an original idea.
Well, I know, but it takes the idea and puts it into movie form, and we're asking what a good movie is, and that one's a good movie because it takes that idea and makes it a movie. If you take 1984 and make it a movie, which maybe they did, I just didn't see it.
I thought they did at some point.
But initially, it's a book, and so 1984 is one of the best books of all time. But we're not talking about books; we're talking about movies.
And here's where you get home.
The idea in a less interesting way, I think. And I disagree on the other idea that Minority Report. I don't like Minority Report. I don't even think
I don't like it at all.
And I don't think you can like it because you don't have free will to like it.
Not good. Like the free will question, I think, has been tackled by a lot of other films in a more interesting way.
Oh yeah, name one.
I don't know. I can't name one off the top.
Oh well, then there you go.
Now I should follow up with with Peacock to enlighten Turkey that not only has there been a movie called 1984 made, I think it was made probably in the 80s. Very good. Well, I don't know if it was a very good movie. The book was better. The movie called Equilibrium with Christian Bale, I think he's the main character, was actually pretty darn good, and it's pretty much 1984, but they took their own liberties with it. And considering that we live in one of the greatest countries in the world, I do think it's important to say liberty one more time. And
you know what we shouldn't talk about though is Liberty Mutual.
Are we going to do an anti-ad here about Liberty Mutual?
I think we should. I think it's a good time to do
a
so.
good bit to do. Well, we're jumping around a little bit because you.
Well, you know what? Let's go back to this equilibrium. So
Yeah.
to your credit, Squirrely, I am not the watcher of all movies ever created. So could there be a movie that better shows the idea of free will and thought policing and all that stuff? Absolutely. There absolutely could be. But from my own experience, the ones that I have seen, Minority Report does a good job.
Are you serious about this? Are you putting this out for the internet in a serious way that you think this is the best movie of all time?
He's actually very serious about this.
I want you to be on record as either seriously defending this or being facetious, and I really can't tell.
Okay, let's I do like to dabble in the exaggeration aspect a little bit. I never exaggerate, but
just yes.
What'd you say? Sorry, I'm sorry. You cut me off. What did you say?
No political answers. Just are you being facetious or are you not being facetious?
Seeing how I never exaggerate, I would say, no. This movie, I'm sure there are better movies out there, but it is a good movie. I do like it.
Okay, because I wanted to know if it was the best movie out there.
Well, it's hard for me to say because I haven't been watching a lot of movies, but in terms of impact, that one will stick with me.
Wasn't there one movie? It had to be similar to Minority Report, but didn't it have who played Captain Jack Sparrow in Pirates of the Caribbean?
Johnny Depp.
I think Michael Bolton.
I agree, but I think Johnny Depp was in the latest version. And wasn't there an old movie where Johnny Depp came from Cleveland and moved out west? It's something about a man. What's that called again?
Was he alive or was he not
I think
alive?
he was deceased. So what did we think? What do we think the movie's called?
Man, that one. I think it might have been called Unalive.
Yeah, it's something like Part of the Man, I believe. Yeah.
Yeah.
I would go so far as to say that movie single-handedly changed my life.
I honestly think Dead Man. I do need to watch that again, just only because of the person who recommended it. I would say I give that person enough respect to give it another shot. But that might have been the worst movie I've ever seen in my entire life. There are strong competitors though, because have you ever seen The Happening?
No,
you need to watch The Happening because it's Nicolas Cage.
Wait, no, that's not Nicolas Cage.
Sorry, I'm thinking of Knowing.
Was that what? No, it wasn't Joaquin. Who was in that?
I don't. Oh yeah. That's what's his name? What's his name again?
Mark Wahlberg.
Yeah, and then you know what else was awful was oh, it's so bad I can't even remember it. It was like the cure for wellness, I think it was. That may have been one of the worst movies I've ever seen.
I've never. What's that movie about and who's in it? I don't even remember it.
I forget. I'm really bad at remembering who's in what, but it basically is this movie about this big city. I think he was a lawyer and he was like super stressed out, and then he went to like the Swiss Alps and like went to this. I'm really butchering this, but he went to this like faraway place, and he went in the mountains, and he went to this little like rehab center that basically was like all about relaxation. But then it and I kind of got what they were going for, but then it turned into this like really weird sci-fi. Didn't make any sense. They were like injecting people with poison, and then it turned into like the person who ran the whole thing was like actually this demon who like sucked up everyone's energy, and they had to defeat him. So it like turned into a like kind of, I get the idea, we work too hard and we're stressing ourselves out, to okay, what
yeah, I've never even heard of it. It must not be that acclaimed.
No, it's terrible.
Didn't you have beef with the Eternal Sunshine of the Spotless Mind? Was that
okay? So that is another one that I was recommended when I had been in a breakup, and I would recommend never watch that movie if you're going through a breakup. What'd you say?
100%. I actually like the movie, but that's the worst movie to watch after you break up with somebody.
Yes. So that was a terrible time. If I watched it again, I feel like it probably wouldn't be that bad. But yeah, never watch that movie.
It's a pretty strong drama. I mean,
Yeah.
what is the term for those movies? So you've got comedies, you've got rom-coms, you've got dramas, you've got even romantic dramas. But what is it when it's like damn near like emotion, like it wrecks you emotionally? What are those called?
I think they're called Rom Mind Freaks.
Rom Rex, got it.
Rom Rex.
No, I know there's a term for it.
No, I know there is. I can't think of it.
It's like
more suspenseful. It's more. I don't know.
It's like something that is so depressing, but engaging at the same time that it leaves you kind of emotionally drained. It's like
I think they're called soul crushers. Yeah.
Yeah, it's like a soul crushing movie. I don't know how to describe.
Yeah, I think they're called Jawbreakers.
Yeah. It's like I've heard people say that they'll only watch like 12 Years a Slave once, and they'll only watch like Schindler's List once because it's those movies that like they're just so powerful in how awful like the experiences in them are that like people don't want to watch them twice because they're just like it just shakes you so much. It's not like totally to that level because obviously those are like more extreme based on real life events. But I know of movies like that. They're just like meant to like drain you emotionally.
Yeah, but Ralph Fiennes in Schindler's List was like a spectacular performance. I don't know if you guys remember the villain.
Yeah, it was.
Like, it was pretty messed up. But it was,
well, obviously, it was an SS guy.
They were really good.
Didn't we all watch that together?
Yeah.
Aw, good times.
Yeah, we all watched it because that was the time where we watched it, and then it's a super long movie, so we watched it, and then we got IHOP after, and it was one of the latest.
Was I there for that? Did we watch Schindler's List together?
I think so.
Oh, I remember that.
Yeah, I think.
What was the other one you mentioned that was like super intense?
12 Years a Slave, I think. I can't remember 12 Years a Slave, but I remember it being like really, really emotionally exhausting afterward because it's such a it's a powerful story, but it's also it's a very depressing story if I remember right. I think that's 12 Years a Slave. I don't know. It's hard to remember. Like I said, I've only watched it once. But there are other movies like that too.
There is another movie like that, and I remember watching it with Turkey. Do you remember watching Robin Williams' film What Dreams May Come? And I'm pretty sure you fell asleep in the first 10 minutes.
Sounds familiar.
You gotta watch this movie. It's super soul crushing. It's super emotional, but you'll love it. Oh my gosh, can't wait to see it. I'm telling you, 10 minutes in, you got the best sleep of your life. Have you ever seen A Knight's Tale?
No, I haven't.
I readily recommend it. It is a phenomenal, phenomenal cinematic work.
But
have you ever seen 10 Things I Hate About You?
Have you ever seen Brokeback Mountain?
No. That's actually a very good movie.
Have you actually not seen that movie?
I haven't actually.
Wow, you really need to see that movie.
Well, funny enough, Turkey, I actually don't think most people have seen it. So how do I say it? I think Brokeback Mountain in like cinema is kind of, even though I disagree with it wholeheartedly, is treated as like the Nickelback of cinema.
Yeah.
Whereas I actually think it's a very good movie.
Yeah, it was, honestly, I wonder. It was an interesting time for it to come out and be popular, and it had Jake Gyllenhaal, like very, very prominent actors.
Yeah.
So I wonder if it was like, in my opinion, there's definitely been other LGBT movies and stuff, but that one to me is like the one that really started the process. And I could be wrong, but
yeah, and it gets credit for that because it like started a movement more than like.
So I wonder if it was, like too ahead of its time in that regard, and because of that, it turned into this like
controversy. Yeah,
it's like controversial, and then also like, what's the word am I trying to say? It's like cliche. So it took both of those negative critiques, and so now, but I still think it's a good movie.
Yeah, that actually amazes me. And it's funny. I know people get that vibe. I literally did not get that whatsoever. Like I thought both of them So obviously, I've been exaggerating most of this podcast, but for this particular case, I actually thought the acting was like really good in the movie.
Yeah. But let's we've been talking white male actors. Maybe we need to start showing some love to other types of actors. For example, we have Meryl Streep. Obviously, is a phenomenal actress, and
We were
one
talking
of the
about
best.
Pat Morita earlier, and
Oh, there you go. That's true.
we were talking about the Karate Kid and the performances in that movie by
That's true.
non-white actors.
Right. What about Chadwick Boseman, for example? Another one who, may he rest in peace, I think did a phenomenal job in Black Panther.
Yeah,
He's an interesting case because I only recently found out how many really good movies he was in that
yeah.
I've been to see for years. Like
Yeah.
I've seen him in some really good roles, but I didn't realize how many like amazing roles he's been in the last 10 years.
Right.
It's really crazy.
Viola Davis is another name that I think
I like
he
Viola
deserves,
Davis a lot.
he deserves to be top of the list.
Yeah.
I do want to go back to Meryl Streep real quick because even though, how do I put this? I fear that some people may think of Meryl Streep and they may think overrated. I do hope the vast majority of people don't think that, but she is absolutely amazing.
I don't really see, like, I don't understand how you can think she's overrated. Like, she's phenomenal.
I mean, I agree. I don't know. Some of the things I've read or some of the vibes that I've gotten, I could be completely off base, and maybe I'm just reading two, we'll say, threads of commentary on this goddess. But she, I don't know. I get the impression that, and maybe I'm using the wrong choice of words, but I get the impression that some people may not be as impressed with her as they should because she's absolutely amazing. And I just want to point out that her contribution to the Mamma Mia movies was some of my absolute favorite acting I've ever witnessed in my life.
Meryl Streep and Tom Hanks in some ways are comparable because they're very steady actors who have been going for a while and are underappreciated because of that.
That is such an interesting comparison.
You think Tom Hanks is underappreciated?
I think prior to his last couple films, I actually think he was.
I think considering the amount of good films he's put together, and he's never been the guy. I mean, I guess at times with like Toy Story and stuff like that, maybe he's been considered like the biggest actor in Hollywood. But I know he's like A-list, but he's never been like how Robert Downey Jr. was when Iron Man came out. Like I never remember Tom Hanks being like top of the Hollywood list. Just because I think he's very consistent. He's been around for a while, and he hasn't because people like those breakout moments. They like breakout roles, the Christoph Waltzes and the.
I don't understand. I think so. People actually loved, and I agree with this. People loved him in Saving Private Ryan. I don't know why he did not get just as much of that. Wrong choice of words, but like you mentioned, like not flare effect, but like people weren't blown away by him. I thought his performance in Saving Private Ryan was like absolutely amazing. If our audience can't tell, I'm a major cinephile.
This podcast is a
major cinephile.
This is 100%. We had to make a Lonely Island reference because I think we were talking about it before the podcast.
Right.
Yeah, no, Saving Private Ryan is one of my absolute favorite World War II movies, and if I had to watch that on Minority Report, I would definitely watch Saving Private Ryan.
I will say another one. I guess if we're gonna be talking about like underrated, what do you think about Leonardo DiCaprio? Is he?
Oh, I was just thinking the exact same conversation on what to think of Leonardo DiCaprio, and I
don't think I've ever gotten that vibe from people though. Like I feel like everybody thinks he's amazing.
Yeah, from an awards perspective, though, I mean, he's only won Best Actor one time.
Yeah, so that's the thing is he doesn't want.
It was for The Revenant.
That
you're right. You're absolutely right.
I think he's always been since Titanic like an A-list actor. So I think sometimes he falls into the underrated thing like Tom Hanks does, but the difference was before he won an award, everyone knew him as the guy who didn't get that award, but they thought he did have. So that kind of gave him some hype behind it because it felt like he was like an underdog, which he's been in A-list movies the whole time, and he occasionally I think bursts out with movies, And I think he's a steady actor. I think it's just like his breakout was in Titanic, if anything. So he had a breakout and then kind of has stayed the same.
But
I don't remember enough about Titanic to be able to say like how that compared to like his attention on other movies that he's done that have been good recently. So I don't know really what to think of him outside of
I
that.
mean, his
I have
movie,
to
like,
ask,
I haven't even seen The Revenant, but like Wolf of Wall Street, Inception. He was in Django Unchained. He was in Catch Me If You Can. He was in
oh, that's
uh,
amazing.
Shutter Island, Aviator, like The Great Gatsby. I mean, come on, he's been in a million different things. Like,
I
Yeah,
will
he's
say,
been in a lot of movies.
I like The Revenant. I wasn't blown away with like, I guess the plot of the movie itself, but I
Yeah,
thought Tom Hardy were like,
I still haven't seen it.
yeah, I think Tom Hardy was better in that than Leonardo DiCaprio. Um, that's not a knock against Leonardo DiCaprio. I think he's
no, I'm not saying Tom Hardy's ridiculously talented.
yeah. I mean, Tom Hardy's another actor. You want to talk about actors that I think are underrated? I would put Tom Hardy in there for sure.
Yeah, I
Yeah,
feel like
that's a good
he's
one.
been around for a while too, but I think like in the last 5 years he's started getting his due. Did I
Yeah,
use that correctly?
but I look at like even I think this is a good parallel because we were talking about Heath Ledger earlier, and Heath Ledger obviously cast an enormous shadow over the whole Batman series, and I would argue superhero movies in general now, less Marvel, but definitely the DC ones, because it was so successful and it was just the peak of it. And he was the star performer in that movie. There were other good performances in the movie, and the movie itself is fantastic, but he absolutely stole the show. And then you had Tom Hardy having to follow up, and like it's almost like an unfair situation for Tom Hardy, if you can call it that, because like uh, the Joker was basically the most iconic villain ever, or one of the most iconic villains ever, even before that. And then he just like set everything on fire, and then Tom Hardy had to come in and try to follow it up, and it was like almost impossible to live up to it. But I thought he was good as Bane in that, and like
Oh,
it's just like the comparison of him being underrated. I think is perfect in that because I think he had a fine performance, but no one talks about it. Like
Yeah.
so funny enough, speaking of, oh, actually, you know what? I apologize. I just realized that I totally cut you off in that line of thought. I would like to introduce something later on when we're done with this line of inquiry.
okay, well, we can do that now.
Perfect, because I'm bored. Just kidding. No, sorry. But speaking of interesting and well played or well performing villains, I recently started watching this television show called Elementary, which is a another modern day like Sherlock Holmes series.
Ooh.
And I don't know if you guys are familiar with the name Natalie Dormer.
Oh
She
yeah, she was in
was in Game of Thrones.
she was in Game of Thrones. Yeah, as Marjorie Tyrell, really good.
Also, I think in a show called Tudors, The Tudors.
Yeah,
But I actually, so one, I find it super interesting that they decided to make the Moriarty character a woman. But two, I think she absolutely nailed it. And she is one that I think, actually, I don't know how long she's been around. I feel like she's like, could have been more than a decade, but she is actually very talented.
she was in the Hunger Games too. The later games of the Hunger Games.
Oh, she was, wasn't she? Yes.
Yeah, not in the I would say the biggest role, but yeah, she was in it in the last two, I think. Uh, yeah, I think she's a solid actress. I don't know. Liked her in Game of Thrones for sure.
I just had to bring up Elementary because it's actually an older show. Like I think it started in like 2000. Well, not that old, but started in like 2014 or ended in 2014. I can't remember.
I
But
was
it's
gonna say that's an older show.
okay. Fair enough. Um, but yeah, I totally recommend watching that. It's on Hulu for anybody who's interested.
Should we transition out of movies? We've talked the whole podcast
Hey,
about movies.
we went hard on the whole movie scene.
Yeah, we said we were going to try to be less one note, and then now we spent like over an hour talking about movies.
Yeah.
I think is good. I think this is all good footage. We just have to figure out how we're going to cut it.
Should we just talk about TV shows then?
change to TV shows.
Right. Or short movies.
What?
Or
Let's
short
talk
movies.
about our experiences within different cultures. Peacock, I'm trying to recall. Have you traveled overseas?
I have, yeah. I went to Ireland.
You
Um,
did. That's correct. I remember.
I went to Ireland, Scotland, and Northern Ireland on a trip, which was a lot of fun. Highly suggest going to Ireland. It's a absolutely unique culture. It's very well, I should say I only went to Dublin, so I shouldn't speak for all of Ireland. But going to Dublin, really cool experience. Lots of energy out there. Definitely worth going in the winter because there's lots of Christmas markets there. Very exciting experience. And then Northern Ireland, fascinating because of the history of the Troubles there, and you can see Game of Thrones stuff. And Scotland as well. Just absolutely fascinating. I guess like I don't know what to call Scotland because it's not. I don't know. It's like a thing in the UK, whatever you call it, a country. I don't know. I guess it's a country or part of the UK, whatever you call it. But really nice people there and beautiful city, Edinburgh.
Having traveled to Ireland the first time, would you say that it was a rocky road to Dublin? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
I don't get that reference. I know it's a reference. I do not remember what it's from. I'm sorry.
It's an old Irish song, I think made famous by the Dubliners, or I'd say most commonly known by the Dubliners.
Oh, I'm sorry I let you down on that reference.
You certainly didn't, but I do encourage you and everyone who decides to listen to this to pull up the Dubliners and start listening to Irish music immediately because it changes lives.
You know what? Here's a little bit of a transition since we're getting into music stuff. I know we're talking about overseas stuff, and we can go back into that if you guys want to stay on it. But I occasionally like listen to like music from video games because there's like lots of good tracks on there. And I never knew this, but one of my favorite tracks was from The Legend of Zelda Wind Waker, which uses a lot of like, I guess I would call it like Gaelic style music, which for anyone who doesn't know, it's like the Gaelic culture originates in the British Isles, Ireland and Scotland, and they've got some very catchy music over there. I guess I just find it very catchy, and the whole game has like music styles on it. And I never realized it growing up, and a lot of people like those music from it or seem to enjoy it. What do you want to talk about with overseas stuff?
So I agree. I love music from video games, particularly from Zelda. However, I've never played, was it Wind Waker? Wind Waker. But no, I agree. I've noticed you a lot more video games playing Gaelic style music, especially when it's like, I'm trying to think, like I feel like a lot of warrior games include Gaelic music, and I feel like I don't play a whole lot of video games, but watching my brother play or watching friends play, I feel like it's almost like playing Guitar Hero. I mean, that's not the example I had in mind, but you know how if you like, first time you play Guitar Hero, and when we were younger, we were introduced to a whole list of different songs, different kinds of music. I feel like I have similar experiences.
Yeah, I like have the same thing where I'll just hear music from video games, and it's a good source for like unique music in general. And sometimes I won't even like play games, but I'll just hear like music tracks and I'll be like, that's a really catchy song, and it's a nice source of like good instrumental music, which I tend to like instrumental music more than like very speech heavy music, I guess. Just because I don't know, I think a lot of modern day music has a lot of stupid themes in it to the point that I almost don't want words in it. I don't know. I don't know how to describe it. Or if that's a good way to describe it. But yeah, there's lots of good tracks in
if you're into primarily instrumental music, I'm about to blow your mind because you and everyone listening to this should check out a band by the name of Focus. In particular, there's a song called Hocus Pocus. So I'm not even kidding. It's Hocus Pocus by Focus. And you'll understand what I mean when I say it's instrumental. It's not the typical instrumental music you think of, but it's
like instrumental to the way we live our lives.
Change your life. and I wholeheartedly recommend that you listen to it this evening.
I'll have to check it out. I think I've seen it in passing. So
I feel like I may have sent the video to you, but in case that I didn't, I think you should check it out immediately.
Okay, I'm gonna check it out right now.
Perfect.
We were talking about Outcast earlier and how we wish we could have like an Outcast intro for this. Maybe we should talk about how is Outcast an underrated band, would you say? Or a band that people think of as a classic? I like a lot of their big songs. And I think they've got unbelievable beats on that.
Yeah, they have a few for sure. I feel like they didn't keep up with. Well, it's a weird critique, but I feel like I feel like they didn't stick around. You know, maybe they did. I just haven't heard of them in years.
They probably made their money and they skedaddled.
Mm-hmm. I agree.
I don't know. Do you think they're really overrated? Or did you say underrated or overrated?
I said underrated. I meant underrated.
Oh well, no, I don't think so. I think they're pretty reasonably rated.
They're about right. Yeah, I actually agree with that.
Okay.
The one that I think is underrated is Cascada, or however you say it, Cascada or Cascada. I think it's Cascada. Do you remember them?
I have not heard of that.
The dance.
Oh, you know them. You know them. I guarantee it.
So it's like Evacuate the Dance Floor, right?
Yeah, that's the other big song. I think they came and they went as fast as lightning. But
I am familiar with that song.
Those are some of the greatest songs of all time.
So do you like dance heavy music?
I am a connoisseur of all types of music, except maybe I really don't like country, but even country I can get into a few here and a few there. Particularly Kelly Clarkson or Taylor Swift or that type of stuff. But
Taylor Swift is she even country anymore?
well, her old country was okay, but yeah, she's actually her new album is what's the word for it? I don't know. It's like I don't what she I'm gonna look that up. What she would even consider her new album, but it's not typical for her.
I am curious, Turkey and Peacock. What are your opinions on the Canadian classic? Now you don't refer to it as an individual. The renowned Canadian singer Gordon Lightfoot.
Oh, I love Gordon Lightfoot.
Gordon Lightfoot, I think, is one of the absolute best human beings to ever grace North America.
I don't know who that is.
Peacock. It blows my mind that we've never discussed Gordon Lightfoot before, because I think it makes sense that we would both appreciate him as much as we do. And I have been listening to nonstop Gordon at work for probably 2 months.
Yeah, my parents used to or still love Gordon Lightfoot. So I grew up on listening to Gordon Lightfoot, and then I was watching Knives Out, which is a good movie. I think.
Yes, it's a very good movie.
I love the use. It's such a good use of music in movies, which I quite appreciate.
Forgot about that.
I love when music appropriately buoys a scene, it gives it the right feel and gives it kind of escalation on it. Because I feel like so many movies, creating a movie is you gotta get all the elements in line, the visual and the audio on it. I feel like a lot of movies are out of balance in that. You talk about the Star Wars movies and modern day movies that just are there's just way too much happening visually, and you compare it to the old Star Wars movies where there's interesting visual stuff, but they've got the audio with it too, and it all comes together nicely to create the right feel with it. And Knives Out has that with Sundown, playing in that movie. So I'm a big fan of it. I didn't know that he did Sundown until I looked it up after that. I was like, oh my gosh, this song is great. And
it was absolutely amazing. And actually, that reminds me, have either of you seen the movie Baby Driver?
Yes.
No.
Do you remember when John Hamm, and I can't remember the actress's name, got in the shootout with the cops?
Yeah.
I won't call it heavy metal, but that metal song that they were playing, and they were actually shooting the gun to the melody of the song.
I don't remember what song it was though. That wasn't the
song. That song is actually Hocus Pocus by Focus. And I was blown away when I saw it make a return. It was literally from like the 70s.
I know the scene you're talking about.
The best part is one, it's actually like a sick riff.
Yeah.
But two, my favorite part is the reason it's instrumental, nobody's technically singing, and I think they included this in the movie. I want to say they're a Dutch band. I want to say Dutch, but they could be Danish. I don't remember. I think they're Dutch. And the main performer, the head of the band, he actually yodels in his songs, and it's absolutely insane. But it fits.
Yeah, I remember that because that song, they used that for another thing. They had a World Cup commercial for.
I was actually just thinking about that. Yeah, they did. That was the first time I'd seen it outside of, listen to it outside their albums.
Man, how have we never? Yeah, because I saw it on that. I'm like, this commercial is so good with this song. I'm like, this song is so great. Like, it's got, like such a unique beat, and that's why I remember it because there was a couple days where I was like, man, this song is fantastic. Like, and I was just like kind of enamored by it because I was like, this feels like such a perfect use for it in that movie.
It's funny if you hear it or like watch the video outside of like that context, it's actually really funny. So I think it's a great song.
Yeah, Turkey, what do you have to say about this?
I have no comment.
Are you gonna listen to Hocus Pocus after this?
I'm currently listening to it right now.
Oh, you are? What do you think of it?
No, I'm just kidding. I'm not.
Okay.
And honestly, I'll probably forget to do that later too.
Just remember, I'll probably text you around 2:00 tomorrow morning to pull up Hocus Pocus by Focus. So, Turkey, remember to focus and listen to Hocus Pocus by Focus.
Wow.
Now you'll never forget. What's the name of the band?
Hocus Pocus.
Okay, you're gonna forget.
Should we talk about what else should we talk about? We have enough content here for like multiple episodes. So
I would like to go back to well, not necessary, but I think it would be fun to talk about our overseas experiences. Peacock, I actually completely forgot that you went overseas, and you went to the one country I've always wanted to go to and haven't had a chance to.
Ireland.
Correct. And then Turkey has gone to, I think, more countries than I have. And I'm super jealous because I wanted to visit half of them.
Ironically, I have not visited the country of Turkey.
I know. I'm just thinking the same thing.
But yeah, I've been a decent amount, but I definitely have a lot more to go. But I loved my favorite. I went to Croatia, and we did a mini day trip to Montenegro, which was gorgeous. And then we did Greece in the same like 3-week trip, and that was one of my favorites. And I've been to London. I've been to Austria and Hungary and Bratislava and obviously I've been to Spain twice. I haven't really done like your typical ones though. Like I haven't done France, I haven't done Italy, I haven't done Germany, I haven't done I've all what'd you say?
Switzerland.
Did you say Switzerland?
Yeah.
I mean, I don't think that's like a typical one. Do you think?
I mean, I think it's may get attention.
Not uncommon, yeah. It's not uncommon, but it's like it's more and more common. Like a lot of people go there to ski or like.
I guess.
Yeah, fair enough. I think you have a point when you say like less people have probably been there than most other European.
I mean, I feel like nowadays like Iceland is more, or no, wait, Reykjavik is Iceland. Greenland?
I don't know if you're pronouncing it right.
I think you're right. I think it is Iceland.
It is Iceland, right? Because
Reykjavik, I can't even remember.
no,
Icelandic.
I'm pretty sure it's Reykjavik.
Okay.
It is Iceland.
Yeah, that's the capital.
But anyways, like that's starting to become like a super common place just because it's like super cheap to fly out there, but it's crazy expensive once you get there.
Really?
Yeah, like it's more expensive than from what I heard, it's more expensive than like France or
Really?
Like England or anything like, or I guess London specifically. I don't know. I don't know the rest of England too much. I've really only visited London and a few of the
Switzerland,
outskirts areas.
Switzerland's actually really expensive. I went to
Oh
Zurich
yeah.
the first time I studied abroad, and apparently Geneva is much the same way. And I just remember, like,
priciest country or city in the world.
yeah, to save money, we
Wait,
actually.
what'd you say?
I think Geneva's. I think at one point it was like either the priciest city in the world.
Wow.
Yeah, I think Vienna's up there and Hong Kong's up there too.
Did you say Vienna?
Yeah.
I think it
I
was,
didn't. I didn't think it was that bad.
yeah, maybe at one point, but I don't. Nowadays, I don't think it's that expensive.
I wonder like where Honolulu.
Really estate, but
I
yeah.
may be mixing like the most livable cities in the world with like the most expensive because usually they mix.
I wonder where Honolulu ranks on that because they've got to be.
It's the highest in the United States, I think, in livable.
Is there anything else we should talk about? Is there any other topic we want to add to this? We've talked about
a lot more to cover.
Yeah, I think
it's important to take a break. You know, you got to get your R&R and you got to rejuvenate, because otherwise you just come off as a blabbering fool.
That's true. We have plenty of content here, I think. Well, is this a real end?
Are you a real end?
What does that mean?
What doesn't it mean?
Okay, that we're done. Bye, everyone. Thanks for our second episode. I have no idea what we're going to use.
That's out there, audience.
Yeah.
Oh, goodbye there, audience.
Thanks for taking a ride on Spaceship Piff. If you're interested in another trip, check out one of our other videos. And consider leaving a comment on our most recent podcast about how you paid it forward.